There's a silence that stays with her, a quiet presence that haunts her in the stillness of night. Not because you were loud, not because you begged, but because you disappeared without a storm. And she can't stop thinking about you, because you were the calm after every storm she created. Most men try to impress women with gifts, texts, validation. They chase, they apologize, they perform, but not you. You were different. You didn't ask to be remembered. You simply made it impossible to forget you. Why? Because you carried yourself like a mountain, unshaken, unmoved, untouched by her emotional waves. And that left an imprint deeper than any sweet word ever could. Let's talk about the 10 things that make a woman think about you non-stop. Not because you manipulated her, but because you mastered yourself. 1. You didn't react, you reflected. When she pulled away, when she tested you, you didn't chase, you didn't explain, you didn't explode, you observed. You watched her behavior, not her words. And in that stillness, she realized you were watching her decide your worth. And that realization haunted her. 2. You never competed for her attention. While others scrambled for her validation, you stayed in your lane. You stayed focused. You didn't orbit her mood. You didn't need her applause to validate your worth. And that independence, it became magnetic because you weren't trying to win her. You were trying to win at life. 3. You let your silence speak. When most men would have begged for clarity, you became quiet, not because you had nothing to say, but because you knew your value doesn't need defending. Your silence screamed, "I respect myself too much to chase someone unsure of me." That message, it echoed in her mind long after the texts stopped. 4. You walked away without hatred. You didn't need revenge. You didn't post stories or throw jabs online. You disappeared, not out of weakness, but because a man doesn't stay where he's not celebrated. And now, your absence does what presence never could. It teaches her. 5. You focused on your mission. While she waited for you to react emotionally, you poured into your goals, your vision, your growth. You showed her, my purpose doesn't pause for anyone. And suddenly, the man she took for granted became the man she couldn't stop watching. 6. You made her feel feminine, without control. You didn't try to overpower her. You didn't play dominance games. You simply remained grounded. You held frame. And because of that, she felt drawn to your leadership, to your energy, to your centeredness. But here's the twist. You didn't need her to feel like a man, and that made her crave your presence even more. 7. You didn't make excuses. You made decisions. She tested you with passive aggression, hot and cold behavior, mixed signals. You didn't chase clarity. You became clarity. You didn't ask what she wanted. You decided what you deserved, and you acted accordingly, with dignity, not desperation. 8. You remained emotionally disciplined. You had emotions. You felt deeply, but you didn't act impulsively. You let the emotion pass through, but your actions, they were rooted in principle, not pain. You showed her what true masculinity looks like, strength wrapped in stillness. 9. You never explained your worth. You didn't try to sell yourself. You didn't justify your boundaries. You didn't defend your silence. You knew, if she couldn't see your value, your words wouldn't convince her. So instead, you did what kings do. You left with peace. 10. You evolved in private. After the chaos, after the detachment, you healed. You didn't post cryptic stories. You didn't flex rebounds. You got in the gym. You read books. You rebuilt your soul. You found purpose again. And now, she scrolls, she wonders, she replies. Because as she thought you'd come back broken, but you came back better. And that's the moment she starts thinking about you nonstop. You didn't win her over with charm. You didn't manipulate her with silence. You simply became a man rooted in stoic power. A man who doesn't need to be seen to be valuable. A man who walks away with grace, not games. And that kind of energy, it echoes. When she's alone at night, when the noise fades, when her phone is quiet, it hits her. You weren't like the others. You weren't there to prove anything. You were the proof. That real masculinity doesn't seek permission to exist. You left, but you never really left her mind. Because the most unforgettable men are the ones who don't try to be remembered. They're just too rare to forget. If this spoke to something inside you, don't just listen, live it. Like the video. Comment what moment hit you the hardest. Subscribe for more stoic truths, relationship psychology, and mindset mastery. This is the Stoic Mirror, where men are forged through silence and remembered through strength.